done it wrong. Hello, I've done it wrong. We're going back. I forgot to press the button because you lot love me.
Hurricane, a tidal wave, essence perfect, life looks brilliant, give me more of this. I'm out of control, about to blow, and I've been caught in the undertow. So toxic, but I can't get enough. You're burying me, burying me. Yeah, you're burying me, burying me. You've got me hypnotized, push me out of myself. You've got me hypnotized. I can see, I can hear, going crazy, but the light has got me hypnotized. You've got me hypnotized. And get you out of my head again. Is it wrong? Is it right? It's like I've won my final war without a fight. I'm out of control, about to blow. I've been caught in the undertow. So toxic, but I can't get enough. You bury me, bury me. I know you bury me, bury me. You've got me hypnotized, push me out of myself. You've got me hypnotized. I can see, I can hear, going crazy, but the light has got me hypnotized. You've got me hypnotized. And get you out of my head, get you out of my head again.
Please note,
Never gonna stop, never gonna change, never gonna do the things you say. I run my own way to get there. Phones are calling and the eyes seem to care. In the air, no more crowd, just the opposite kind of few clouds. So tell me this time is coming, for the sake of all your lies. Why don't you try to be why? Now that I need you, why? Just to feel like I'm fading. And though my heart breaks a beat at time, I cross the lines just to tell you, don't leave the way, don't leave the side. That I try with
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Mark Interviews. And today, I have a really sore throat, so I'm going to try and do this intro the best I possibly can. Ladies and gentlemen, the man that has not wanting to do this whatsoever, but I have forced him because I told him that he had to do it, and then he agreed, so it was fine. I handcuffed him, basically. Exactly. Ladies and gentlemen, he has no clue what's in store, and he has no clue what I'm about to say, and that makes it more fun. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ed. Welcome, young man.
Hello, hello. I'm not so sure I'm young. You're young.
You're my man. You'll always be my man. Right, we've had a few comments while the intro was happening. Astrid, the one that she's been waiting for. We've got Andre as well, that has said that he is listening in the car as he is waiting for someone. And then we've got a couple.
Drive safe, Andre.
Really?
So
You had to. There is, because I like to build up suspense. I am like the Marvel of interviews. Suspense. Talking of Marvel, we'll get into that in a little bit, but let's get into you first. Let's talk a bit about you. We do this with every single interview that I've done so far. We always kick things off talking about mental health. It's a big thing that we're talking about in the world, or we're trying to get out there a little bit more. So my question for you is how are you doing at this precise moment, and how is everything going for you?
So far, so good. Had a good day today. I've had a good week. It's been a long one. We got the kitchen, hallway, and bathroom floors done this week, which has meant early wake ups. And for the night owl that I am, that's a problem. Getting up at 8 a.m. after going to bed at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning has not been fun. Working out of my bedroom, out of my streaming location, which is fine for streaming and gaming, but working here and then streaming and then doing my gaming, it's been a lot of time in these four walls. So it was nice today to get out and about. But no, I appreciate getting out there about mental health. I've had my issues in the past. In high school, I was medicated before high school, but during high school is where the medication really kicked in and really needed to be upgraded. I had a bad night at a school dance, and thankfully I had people around me and friends around me that noticed that I was in a bad place, and it stopped me from doing something drastically worse. But yeah, ups, downs, lefts, rights, life takes you on a whole bunch of a roller coaster. But right now, I'm in a good spot. I've been unmedicated for going on 20 years now. Medication's expensive in the United States. Shocking. U.S. healthcare, not a good system.
Who would have thought, eh? Who would have thought?
Between the ADHD, between the depression, between the, for a time, bipolar diagnosis, I'm doing pretty well.
What would you say for you is like a outlet for you? As you know from myself, as I've said most of the times when I do this, for me, it's doing stuff like this, being a content creator, doing different bits and pieces, thumbnails, this certain things of just taking my brain out of my head and all everyday life, putting it to one side so I can concentrate on something else. What is for you your type of thing? What would you say is something that you look at and go, this is what I enjoy. This is something that I look at and go, it takes my mind away from everyday life.
I find something that brings me joy. I know that sounds like a simple answer, but on the day can be different. Whether it be playing Marvel Snap, whether it be playing 2K24, whether it be, sitting back and playing, what's the game I downloaded recently? It's a game that everybody's played, Stardew Valley. I've recently started playing Stardew Valley. Whether it's sitting and watching hours and hours of insane TV with my mother, who I help take care of. We'll have dinner and then spend 2 or 3 hours watching Guy's Grocery Games. We're on season 20 some odd of Guy's Grocery Games. Since the pandemic started, we've gone through all of Cheers, all of Suits, all of NCIS, all of Frasier, both the old and the new. We've gone through all of Love It or List It. And now we're working through all of Guy's Grocery Games. So it's like we find something that we like, we throw it up on the streaming service, and we'll watch 3 or 4 episodes at a time and just chill out and relax. And then I come back here and I either do something creative, whether it be writing that nobody ever sees, whether it be creating a thumbnail that some people see, whether it be just playing a game or doing something, do all that kind of stuff.
You said Suits there. Let's get into Suits because I'm a massive fan of Suits and I love Suits. And I think what is your thinking on Suits then? What did you enjoy the whole thing of it? What was the thing that you enjoyed the most about that?
I loved everything up until Mike essentially being brought back in and being like, okay, we figured it all out. We're bringing you back in. The later seasons aren't that great to me. I'm not a huge fan of them. But those first 2, 3, 4 seasons are just locked in, great, ready to go.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. It was the.
Are you excited? Are you excited for Arrow to become Suit?
Do you know what? I am. I hope they bring back. And then this is the one thing that the one thing that I'm missing is I do want Harvey Specter back. We may not get him back, but I hope he comes back because I love the character of Harvey Specter. Mm-hmm. And I liked it's Mike, isn't it, as well, if I remember? Yeah, Mike. And I would like him to come back in it as well with him. I would like to see that. We don't need Meghan Markle. But
I mean, I'll take Princess Meghan, but I mean, she's got some stuff going on right now. She is a princess. She married a prince. She married a prince that makes her a princess.
Technically,
I mean, it doesn't, but it does.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not. What is she? She's a duchess, if I'm correct.
He was. I think they're the Duchess of Kent. They were, because they're not anymore, because they abdicated it to go live in America to have a quiet life, but then they go on to TV anyway. I'm going to go on a rant about Prince Harry, and I don't want to. Yes. So let's talk about you. Let's talk about you. Let's get into it. What started you? We've got the same type of questions from people and you can answer it a bit differently later on. But what got you into doing wrestling content creating? What was the thing, or what was the person that sucked you into do it?
Doing wrestling content creation, that would be Tom Collihu. I've done some things beforehand. I am 2/3 of the way to an associate's degree in broadcast journalism, believe it or not, specifically radio broadcasting. After high school, I did go to college for a few years, and I did get 2/3 of an associate's degree in radio broadcasting from a school that brought in people from the business to teach the classes. So every class that they taught, the reason they taught it is because they had an expertise in that area. So when we had our vocal class, the reason we had that vocal class is because we had a voice actor who taught that class, who could teach us about trying to do accents or trying to hide accents to make your voice as normal as possible to be able to do a range of different things. Making sure to properly pronounce words, to speak from your diaphragm when you're using the radio, things like that. We had a history of radio teacher who had worked in the radio business for 50 years. So he had seen the history of radio. And he, taught us about how radio used to have programs on it, as opposed to it just being a music-based thing. And you'd be able to, so like our favorite sitcoms would actually be radio broadcasts with people standing in a room reading lines off of a sheet. If you've watched Agent Carter, you've seen the kind of thing that they have there when they do the Captain America thing in Agent Carter in the early seasons. Where they have that radio show about it. It's a lot of fun in that. In that, I ended up working at a radio station that had its antenna pointed to the ocean as opposed to the city because it accidentally got installed backwards. So the signal didn't go where it was supposed to go. So if you were, granted, that's normally you'd be like, well, that's stupid. However, this is New England, and we have lots of fishermen, and we have lots of people who, use the open ocean here in the Atlantic often. So we had a great listener base, but only during times of the year where people were on the water. But I did that. I was on the NASCAR show on that station, and I was the gopher. I learned how to do booking with talent, dealing with press people. I learned about editing with both, video and audio editing, to be able to pull clips and to be able to use the software to do both of those things. I had on-air training there because I was also the backup post-show host. So after the race would finish, I would spend an hour or so taking calls from people who listened to the race on the radio, talking about what they thought of the race, this, that, and the other thing. A lot like what I do after NXT shows or after WWE post shows. So all of that kind of got me to where I am, but it was a long journey, and the wrestling and the racing kind of hit a little pivot point. There was a show, I don't know if anybody remembers this show, and every time I say it, people go, wait, that was a show. It was a show called Fast Cars and Superstars. And it had celebrities trying to do racing-related things. And it had like Jewel, and it had like all these random celebrities on it. But one of the random celebrities on this show was John Cena.
Right.
And of course, as the show's wrapping up and John Cena's doing press for the show, we get the email. My boss gets the email from ABC being like, hey, you're the Boston affiliate for the racing. We've got John Cena. He's going to do a radio interview. You've got 10 minutes with John Cena. He wants this to be specifically about the show. He's like, but his people have said that if you want to, you can ask one wrestling-based question. So I get an email day before the show, and he's like, by the way, we've got this John Cena guy on. You're the wrestling guy. You know all the wrestling stuff. You've got one question that you can ask. He's like, we're dealing with all the racing stuff. You get one question. I'm like, all right, cool. So I'm thinking, I'm like, what if you have a chance to ask John Cena in the beginning of the height of John Cena, like this is still like John Cena on the rise. He isn't 16-time world champion John Cena. He isn't, motivational speaking John Cena at this point. This is the height of the we hate Cena, we love Cena era.
Yeah.
So I think, and I can't come up to anything except there was a local independent show that had John Cena and Vince McMahon both appear on a local indie show because it was a charity event for John Cena, one of John Cena's brothers, who's a state trooper in the area, who had just recently been hit by a drunk driver while doing a traffic stop on the highway. He was in rough shape, but he, everything turned out all right. He was fine. So I asked John, and I got pulled into the room to ask this question. That was something they didn't tell me. It was the first time they brought me on the air. So I'm talking to him, and I ask him this question, like, how's your brother Dan doing? And I tell the story for the listeners so they understand why the hell I'm asking about his brother Dan. And he goes, he freezes for a second. And we all know, John Cena, when he's doing an interview, the one thing John Cena doesn't do is freeze. I caught him off guard, and it took him 2 or 3 seconds to get back in sync. And he answers the question. He's like, that was an interesting question, but you kind of waste your wrestling-based thing. Ask me something wrestling-based. And I'm like, all right, fine. You've worked Kurt Angle and you've worked Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania. Which was your favorite?
Not bad questions to ask, really, is it?
No.
Especially when you're doing for a program with NASCAR that you just go round in a circle and just around.
Yeah, the best form of racing in the world.
It's really not. Formula One is, and it's not even a debate.
Silly cars. Those aren't even real cars. They're fake cars.
we could talk about this for a while, and I think we could derail
I'm
the
sure
whole
we
show.
And
We could
oh,
derail the whole
what a
show,
shame! What a shame if I derail the whole show and we have to skip a couple segments. Oh no, that wouldn't be my point at all.
I hate you. Astrid's
This
talking
is back
about
to
she's
Suits.
debating whether to watch Suits. Yes, watch it. I always say to people, "Oh, I don't know whether to watch it." Watch it. Watch the whole way through, and then you'll like it up to a certain point. And there you go, hand in hand there. And then Melissa has made it. Welcome. Hope
Hello.
you're doing well.
Hello.
Hope you're doing all right. So, talking about wrestling, and we're talking about wrestling, and that's the way you got into it. How did you come about being on OLE? I think that was the question that's the main one. How was the OLE come about, and how did you and Astrid become this formidable tag team that I do think, and I'm going to say this openly, honestly, that a lot of people have now tried to copy. And I think a lot of people, when they watch you, they go, right, that's a dynamic I want for my show. So how did that first start with you? And we'll talk about Astrid in a moment as well. But for you, how did that come about?
Me and Astrid got paired together while Love Wrestling CA was trying to reformat how it did what they called the War Report, because it was during the midst of the Wednesday Night Wars where NXT and AEW were going head to head, and we had one guy who basically covered both shows with a co-host. The co-host that he was working with at the time was unable to continue doing it and only wanted to cover AEW. But even then, he was going to be spotty at best, so they started re-breaking it down with some of the newer content creators that we had come through, with myself, with Astrid, with Cody Defoe, and some other people. They were trying to figure out how to break it all down. One of the wonderful bearded men over at Love Wrestling CA put me, Astrid, and him together on a show. But he didn't love having to cover Tuesday nights. It was late at night. He didn't necessarily want to cover it right after the show. So he ended up giving us a wonderful co-host in Cody Defoe. Well, at that point, NXT went into a transition back onto Tuesday nights, and then they became NXT 2.0. And we all remember the marketing around NXT 2.0. Splash of paint everywhere. So we decided to spill the tea on all things NXT. So we had our little, tea-themed thing. We're going to spill the tea, all that kind of...
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a creative person, but the people left me in charge of being creative. But me and Astrid had been working together for a while, and we enjoyed working together. And it was the first time we'd ever chatted, was on these shows. And slowly we developed that me and her worked very well together. And Cody was great, but Cody was sometimes unreliable. And we love Cody, and I love working with Cody. But life gets in the way, and we can't all do what we want to do all the time. So it ended up being just me and Astrid for a lot of the end of that run. So then I left Love Wrestling due to some issues that I had with what was going on there. And then slowly, after a little while, the rest of the crew decided to start leaving Love Wrestling for a variety of reasons that they all had that had nothing to do with me. It's widely considered that I'm this terrible thing that, like, a cancer that got into this thing and started breaking. It wasn't. It had nothing to do with me. People had their own issues, and people left on for a variety of reasons that I'm sure most of the people on this channel will tell you why they left and the variety of reasons they left. OLE started with a couple of our friends who you know wonderfully, the figureheads of OLE, and with the I was not a mastermind. I am not I can be a mastermind. I have yet to use that evil ability for the purposes of breaking things up. As OLE got ready to get started, Chris Parrish was taking over with Ashley Cesaro, and that team wasn't working out as well as it needed to be because Parrish, again, life got in the way, work shifts change, and all of a sudden, I came in to host one episode. One single episode of Taking Over. And there's even footage of it in our in Astrid's anniversary issue, in the OLE, in the Taking Over anniversaries. We have the video where I say, as a one-time thing, the NXT team is back together again. And I never left.
How many shows, do you know roughly how many shows you've done so far? I haven't got it. So before you
I
don't
don't know. On OLE, we've probably done at least 80 or 90. Adding in things we did on Love Wrestling, we're probably closer to 200.
So one show turned into about 80 or 90, shall we say, shows later.
And going.
So, and still absolutely going strong as well and growing at the same time. What is it about? We spoke to Astrid about it, and she had some really great things to say about you on the show when we spoke to her the last time we did it. So the question I have for you is, what is it about Astrid that you two work so well together? What is that thing that you've got that you almost 3 years, apparently. Almost 3 years, yeah. So what is the magic, would you say, that is happening between you and Astrid?
Honestly, there's a friendship there. Like beyond everything else, and beyond the fact that I love to talk and Astrid's kind of quiet, beyond the fact that she's incredibly creative and enjoys women's wrestling, and I'm more focused on, the wrestling that interests me. And it's not necessarily always men's wrestling. It's always is a very particular type of wrestling that I get sucked into. And I really get sucked into the storyline and the soap opera of all things professional wrestling. So there's a nice vibe between us based on the fact that we kind of like the same things, but also have our very different focuses on what we do. And just being put together and forged in fire, not knowing each other and making a connection and having it be real. And the chemistry that everybody sees on camera is the same chemistry that we have doing, any other show, or when we chat about, her content and all the content she's making and all the opportunities she gets. We talk about those things, we go over the pros and the cons, and she's incredible. And she is a freaking queen, and she is a positive influence. But there's this great give and take that the two of us have that just kind of works.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. I think the one thing that I found when I first met both of you is you bounce off each other really, really naturally and really easy as well. Like, you'll go on your rants, and then it will then cut to Astrid.
Me? Rant? Never.
Where it will go to Astrid, and she will just sort of like break it down into the way that how she feels about it in a more diplomatic way, shall we put it, than compared to you. What would you say? Because we're going to keep on the NXT topic just for a little bit, and then we'll move on to it. There's a lot of positives and a lot of negatives that have happened with NXT, with the call-ups and anything like that. My personal favourite of NXT was the black and gold era of NXT. Was one of my favourite times watching NXT. I prefer that at times than watching Raw or SmackDown, because Voldemort was in charge of that. Or as I think someone called it, I can't remember, the dementia era. I think that's what Mel Ball called it last time under. What is your take from when you see NXT then to what you see now? How do you feel about it, and what needs to improve, and what you love them?
The black and gold era is fantastic. The black and gold era is great. Here's the take off the rose-colored glasses of the black and gold era. You picked up the best of the best from the independent ranks. You raided Ring of Honor. You raided U.S. independent wrestling. You almost destroyed British independent wrestling by buying out certain companies, by being in such of a partnership with places like ICW and Progress, that you almost crippled those companies to no end at one point. while all that's happening around NXT, you have Gargano, you have Ciampa, you have Adam Cole, you have Samoa Joe, you have Finn Balor. Like, you have that great black and gold era. And it where you cut the line on where it starts and where it ends, changes who's in that era. What I love about what I'll call the 2.0 and beyond era is it's back to what NXT is supposed to be, a place for development. NXT in black and gold was its own brand of talent that could be on the main roster that people didn't see potential in for a variety of reasons, mostly an almost now 80-year-old man who had no idea what the fuck he was doing anymore. What you see in NXT now is a melding of two best friends who once almost ruined the world of professional wrestling, now shaping the future of professional wrestling between the two of them by bringing in the best of the best from the independents while going back to what worked in WWE in trying to create superstars of their own. What very few wrestling companies nowadays continue to try to do on a major level is create new stars out of nothing. AEW's attempted it, and there are some successes, but I guarantee you, those that people say that AEW created as a star are people who were on the independent scene, who were about to break out into superstardom, and that creating from scratch stars is still something that they're working on, and is fine for a company that's only 5 years old. I think the only person that they've really, truly created out of nothing is one of two people, either Sky Blue or Anthony Ogogo. One of them has worked and one of them hasn't, obviously. But I think that's your building point for creating new stars over there. Whereas in NXT, especially with the NIL program going on and just the influx of talent, you've got people who have never stepped in a wrestling ring who are taking to this business like nobody else and doing things that nobody thought that they could ever do. Look at the Tiffany Strattons of the world. Look at people like Obafemi, who people are right now being like, Obafemi can be on the main roster. No, he can't. He's less than 2 years into this. He's green as grass. Yes, he has all the potential in the world. He is fantastic. He is lovely. He is my favorite little boy. I love that big brick wall of a man. But I don't want to see him on the main roster anymore because he needs time to develop the rest of this to make sure that when he goes up there and works Seth Rollins, when he works Bronson Reed, when he works Roman Reigns, that he's ready for that level. Because I think he could wrestle those guys and be fine because they could carry him in a figure of speech. But this is a guy who never wrestled before. Look at Tavion Heights now in Japan. Now, granted, that how much NXT involvement in this is, what you want. But Tavion Heights and Josh Briggs are getting rave reviews working the N1 over in Japan. Tavion Heights is getting literally everybody in that tournament is talking about how great he is and about he got the endorsement from the Great Muta this week. He apparently started calling himself the Suplex God. I don't necessarily know if that's a good idea, but the Japanese people seem to agree that he's not wrong. It's not caused a fever over there, so they tend to know better than I. But he's having a great time over there. He's having a fun time in the N1. Josh Briggs is doing great work over there. And they're back to telling stories and creating characters. And some of them are misses. Some of them are bad. And some of them are good. The evolution of Lash Legend, a woman who almost made me quit covering NXT, is becoming one of my favorite people to watch on a week in and week out basis because her wrestling has improved that much in the time she's been there. And that's just scratching the surface of what this women's division has as a potential going forward. They have an entire roster full of women who are learning and who are getting better week in and week out, who can drive this business for 5 to 10 years, as long as you continue to keep some of the cornerstones of the women who are already on the main roster.
What is your thinking now? Because you're talking about them going over to Japan. You had I can't remember his bloody name, but he went to TNA and he's in the X Division match that he will be doing there.
Riley Oswald.
Thank you. From Chase U. He's going to other companies as well. You've got the new NXT Tag Team Champions. By the way, I watched it a few days later and I didn't get spoiled, which is brilliant, of them winning. And I celebrated more than I think I should have done when they actually won them. And I don't know why. From it. And for me, what is your take now? Are you going to comment on that?
Leave that alone. No,
Okay.
we're going to leave that alone.
Perfect. All right. What is your take now? Because you said that NXT has been very, very great, and they're going back to it. And Triple H and Shawn Michaels are doing a great job sending the Raw competitors out to different independent circuits to learn and to go to Japan and go to these places. But they've just signed two of the hottest free agents in women that in the world of professional wrestling to come into NXT 3. Have they signed? Are they actually officially signed the third one?
Yeah,
right,
Delta's official.
So three of the biggest women. For me, when I look at that, I go, this is going to help all the women inside of WWE to learn quicker, learning from them. What is your take on this? And do you think WWE, especially Shawn Michaels, because he's cooking absolute everything. Not that he should have got Pete Dunne to lose the other night, by the way. I was not happy with that, but I get it. So what is your take on the signing of the three biggest women free agents that there was?
I love the idea that they've signed these three talent. I can't speak knowledgeably of any of the three. I've seen matches from all three. I've seen the three of them work. I've not seen nearly enough to honestly speak knowledgeably about what they can bring. I can tell you Julia is going to bring a realness to this women's division that is completely hasn't been seen since Asuka came over and Shinsuke Nakamura came over. I think that Stephanie is going to bring a level of Latina pride that they wished Lola Vice could have brought. The same kind of thing that they had in a feeling with Roxanne Perez. She is going to be somebody who could tap into that market for them going forward on the CW. Delta is another beast altogether. This woman is sensational. She's hardcore. She can wrestle. She reminds a lot of people of Rhea Ripley. And Rhea Ripley herself has said that she's dying to see her in this company. When asked about when they were in Adelaide and she was asked which three Australian wrestlers Rhea Ripley wants in WWE, Delta was the first name that she mentioned on that list.
So we've got Intensity 2 for it, and then we've also got Julia and 78 are going to toughen up them girls really quick with their strikes and power. And that is I don't want to. That's the one thing that I think the women's division is missing at the moment. Bar Rhea Ripley, I think at the moment that's what the women's division need. They need an Asuka when she's fully fit with Io Sky and Kairi Sane. That's the one thing I feel like the women's division is missing is the intensity, the power, the strength, the quickness. I watched Julia's match that she did on Stardom, the same card that she had with Io Sky's first return on there. And I have to say, the whole match, just how physical it was just absolutely brilliant. We've also
and that's
got
Julia taking it easy. By the way, that's Julia taking it easy too. There's some things that she's done in Stardom. There are some matches that I've seen clips of where she's, suplexing a lady into friggin' empty chairs next to the stage. Like, Yes, as Andre says, that was Marigold. That wasn't necessarily Starlight.
Yeah, Marigold.
Going back to Jimmy's comment, the freak plays, bring back WWE, WWF Astros. This is a little known program that some of our older people like me and Jimmy will remember. WWE wanted to create a specifically Latin-based wrestling program promoting talent from Puerto Rico, Cuba, Mexico, and other Latin American countries further south, where they wanted to specifically make this program with just those Latin talents. And it was one of the things they were trying to work with AAA in the Royal Rumble with, and they were trying to work with CMLL, but they had really bad connections with both of those companies at the time. And it's just absolutely fantastic to think of like an idea where we have enough depth of talent in that area that's more than just, hey, we want numbers from this demographic. It's we have enough of this talent to try to create a show around it, especially with this new global working that Triple H has been trying to do, to be able to partner with a program with a promotion that could feed you in talent to be able to run a promotion like that would be sensational.
Mm-hmm. Because there was talk that, because I know that NXT Europe is happening and they're trying to do NXT Mexico, or they're trying to look into that with NXT Japan. Looks like it's going to be a partnership with Marigold.
It's going to be Marigold. Marigold is essentially going to be NXT Japan, I would imagine.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that. We've had a couple of questions that have just come in as well from Job Out Wrestling. Hope you're doing well, my friend.
Hey, Jimmy.
This is where all the fun is. Melissa has Julia versus Mega. Right, I've seen highlights on YouTube. I can't find the full thing in English, but I've seen the highlights, and that is a really good match. And finally, I know who I think it should be, so I'm going to go over to you first. Who should her first opponent be in WWE?
Roxanne Perez.
Yeah.
Like, why are we fucking around with this question? There's only one viable answer, and it's Roxanne. And it's actually, I'll change that. Not necessarily, it should be Roxanne Perez. Mm-hmm. Whomever is holding that NXT Women's Championship is the first target of Julia. There's no reason. And here's something fun. With Stephanie now being added to this equation, Julia was guaranteed the NXT Women's Championship and at least a short run with that title the moment she walked in. No, Andre, the answer is not Lola Vice. Stop. Lola Vice should not be wrestling in NXT, period, let alone wrestling people like the talented level of Julia. But no, the idea that you have both Julia and Stephanie coming in at the exact same time is mind-boggling, because you've got two women's championships to work with there, because you have the Women's North American Championship and you have the NXT Women's Championship. However, I don't think either one of them should ever be brought down to the level of that Women's North American Championship, because I want the Women's North American Championship to be a constant influx of talent that need a little bit of something. We want to try out a championship on you, and we want this to be the one for the girls who are just getting developed. So people like Izzy Dane, people like Carmen Petrovic, Kendall Gray, Kalani Jordan, Jada Parker, Thea Hale. Those... Honestly, no. I think I would put Thea Hale in the conversation of the NXT Women's Championship. The same place I would put JC Jane. The same place I would put Fallon Henley. I think it's that next level down. That, yeah. Thanks, Andre. It's that next level down that I think needs that North American Championship more. And I just think that it would be a shame to throw it on somebody like Stephanie or throw it on somebody like Julia, because nobody's going to win it. And I don't know how much value it gives them just going up there and wrestling.
So we've got here saying, Andre sounds like the guy in my comments who thinks Terry Russell is the only correct answer.
Tenny Runnels, yeah.
Yeah. And then that one as well. Yeah.
Yeah, wrestling fans are weird, man. I agree. Yeah. Especially the male wrestling fan base is kind of...
So
little bit
before we move on to the next part of what I want to go to, I want one word answers, 1 or 2 words. No, we're not going to get to that section yet.
No, we're not doing
But
this.
we're not doing that. But I'm going to say some things, and I want you to tell me how hyped you are for the storyline. Joe Hendry versus Ethan Page.
Great.
Okay. Next one for you. Wesley turning heel.
Perfection.
That kick in the balls was epic, by the way. And what Roxanne? Okay, last one. How long do you think it will take Roxanne to be on Raw or SmackDown?
Rumble.
Yeah, perfect. Right. So before we get into
by the way, guys, that's how you do one-word answers. Like, I know I've been watching these shows. People don't understand one word. You take your time, you figure out a word that answers the question he's asking. Just saying. It's not a hard concept, people.
Well, you have just shit on every single person that has come on. So before we get into the OLE, we're going to do a run through the calendar that's happening next week. If you guys watch Bobby Munson's point of view, it will not be happening tomorrow due to the fact him being away and I'm doing stuff, so he will not be here. But what we will be doing is I will be pointing out this new intro that Astrid has done one final time because I friggin' love it. And I will be doing next week's calendar, the things that are happening from Monday onwards. So that will be happening in a minute. But before we get into that, the thing I have for you, Mr. Edward, is we're going to go back to OLE just for 2 seconds. A lot of things have changed. A lot of things have happened in 2024 to OLE. A lot of things, people have come, people have gone, people are here, new people have come in. What is your thinking of what the whole 2024 for OLE is and where they are right now? Where do you see this going, and what is the career change and the path would you say is happening right now with OLE?
OLE has kind of hit its stride in a sense, but I think it's more than just the people have hit their stride. It's we've brought in the right guests doing the right things and the right people doing things that we didn't think we could cover. And bringing in people like Auntie and bringing in people like Kyle, bringing in people like you, bringing in Lauren for AEW stuff when we get the opportunity. Being able to bring in somebody like Kimmy, who's not part of OLE, but she might as well be part of OLE. She's like a little pet.
I class her as isn't she's in.
We pat her on the head. We say, good job. Now just don't get a sunburn. And she gets her sunburn. And then, it's fine.
Yeah.
But, she won at Topgolf. Well, she almost won at Topgolf. She came in second. But, that's a win because she beat our SRS, no matter what he wants to say. So, there's all kinds of wonderful people we've brought in that we've kind of hit our stride. And some of us have started to take a branch out and to be more creative. I'm taking more of an opportunity to create more and more thumbnails and trying to be more creative with the work that I make. Astrid going ahead and making new intros for a lot of the shows and going ahead and taking that upon herself. Taking things off of the plate of Bobby Munson to be able to go ahead and let him thrive in the things that he's doing that he does well. And we kind of hit our groove where everybody kind of has their role and does what they need to do. And things are just moving in the right direction. We're picking up steam. We're getting the idea of what we want to have done. And we're just hitting higher and higher heights. We have the Wrestling Classic and we have Miss Thickums coming on. That's an NXT, sorry, not an NXT, a WWE, I talk. We have Miss Thickums, who is a 2K Next Maker, part of the Next Maker program there with 2K. So that's a realm of talent that we've not been able to bring on doing the pre-show for No Mercy next weekend. That's going to be a whole bunch of fun. The Wrestling Classic, if you haven't seen Justin's interview, he is fantastic. The work he does there, and the work he does going to all these media junkets and getting all these things done. He is fantastic and he does great work, and you check him out. He'll be on our post show for No Mercy. Being able to bring in people like Ella, bring people like Jose, A year ago, we had Victor Tyler Perry of the Wrestling Club on. Like, we're bringing in guests because of the work that we're doing here with Astrid, with Bobby, with, bringing in Ross Hart, one of the Hearts, was on our local establishment. One of the quieter Hearts, but one of the Hearts. Like, there's a lot of good things happening here, and it's just getting started.
Very much so, and I completely agree with you on that. We've got, we just want to shout out as well, OLE, which is happening tomorrow in my country of London, England, at Wembley Stadium. Half an hour after the show, please make sure you head all the way over to our local establishment, because Andre and Lauren Goodnight will be doing the post-show for that, where we'll most probably be crowning a new AEW Women's Champion. Really hope so. Just because I first spoke to her when she first started in professional wrestling, and I followed her journey all the way here. I didn't agree with her going to AEW, but that was just her choice. But now she's making all of her way to Wembley in front of, I think it is 52,000 fans that have bought tickets for Wembley Stadium going forward as well. So make sure you head over to there as well, where Lauren and Andre will be doing the post show for AEW All in London. It's also been announced that AEW will be doing Forbidden Door in the UK and then All In again the year after that. So all signs are pointing to WrestleMania in England. So I will be absolutely bankrupt if that happens. Mortgages will be coming out for me to go to that. So that could be interesting. So before we get into the section that Ed really does not want to happen whatsoever, where we get questions and mentions from people from inside our local establishment, we're going to run through, if you haven't seen it already, we're going to run through Astrid's new intro that she's made, and then we will be going to next week's calendar. If you haven't seen this week's calendar that's been going on this week, make sure you skip to the beginning of the show, where you will be able to see. If not, go over to YouTube now, and you will be able to see all of the brilliant videos and all of the brilliant content that everyone's come up with so far this week. So without further ado, let's get into Astrid's intro.
Hurricane, a tidal wave, essence perfect, life looks brilliant, give me more of this. I'm out of control, about to blow, and I've been caught in the undertow. So toxic, but I can't get enough. You're burying me, burying me. Yeah, you're burying me, burying me. You've got me hypnotized, push me out of myself. You've got me hypnotized. I can see, I can hear, going crazy, but the light has got me hypnotized. You've got me hypnotized. Get you out of my hand again. Is it wrong? Is it right? It's like I've won my final war without a fight. I'm out of control, about to blow, and I've been caught in the undertow. So toxic, but I can't get enough. You bury me, bury me. I know you bury me, bury me. You've got me hypnotized, push me out of myself. You've got me hypnotized. I can see, I can hear, going crazy, but the light has got me hypnotized. You've got me hypnotized. Get you out of my head, get you out of my head again.
Please note,
Never gonna stop, never gonna change, never gonna do the things you say. I run my own way to get there. Fools are calling and the eyes seem to care. In the air, no more crowd, just the opposite kind of few clouds. So tell me this time is coming for the sake of all your lies. Why don't you try to be wise? Know that I need you right.
See, that is the beautiful stuff we've got coming up next week. And yes, you did see that correct. Next Sunday, it will be me and Kimmy sitting down doing an interview with her. She has got an extraordinary life of a job that she does. So she will be here next week.
At
So
23.
make sure.
How sick does it make you feel that she's doing all this and she's 23?
Yes, oh God, yeah. I'm very happy for you for
Look,
doing a great job, but also at the same time, I'm sick of you because you're doing my dream job. So at the same time, I'm sick of you. But please,
no
please,
England mania.
please,
Just want to piss off Mark.
please. Oh God, yeet will be the word of the whole time if that happens. Right, let's get into what people have sent to you. I'm going to turn now because I have to look at a different screen because I'm old.
All right.
So I'm going to go with the question first. This is from Lauren Goodnight. She put, not the question, I'm going to go with the statement. She only put a sentence, and all she put is, Ed, you know how we roll. I'm glad to be on your team. That's what Lauren Goodnight has got to say. But the question from Lauren is, why do you hate Jay White so much?
Because he's overrated. He's fairly fine when it comes to his in-ring work, but he's basically a charisma vacuum unless he's got people around him or people in front of him that make it worthwhile. Like, I don't think he's all that great. This is also mostly just a joke. Like, it's a gag that's well outlived its livelihood, but at the same point, like, it comes from a kernel of truth. I think Jay White is vastly overrated for the things he's done in his career. I think he's a fine professional wrestler who does a lot of good work, but I don't think he's on the same level as the people he's often compared to.
Perfect. Right. The next one is from Bobby Money Munson. He's asked the same question for every single one. So I'm going to ask his question first. And he said, dead or alive, which one person would you like to sit down and have a conversation with and why?
So I'm going to steal Andre's thing here. I'm going to do two. I'm going to do a personal one. I'm going to do kind of a professional one. I know. Personally, I've never got the chance to meet my grandfather on my father's side. He was my father had me when he was in his 50s. And so his family, for portions of his family, were a mystery to me. And I'd really like to see and talk to my grandfather on that side and to see what life was like in the late 1800s, early 1900s, before the Depression. I think that would be interesting. Professionally, there's only one answer for this, and it's George R. Morrow, like the father of broadcasting. I would love to sit down with him and figure out how he did what he did in a time period where he was the most respected man on any medium that was available at the time. If you wanted the honest to God truth, you went to George R. Morrow. And this generation needs somebody like that. We had Peter Jennings for a while. We've had guys who have stepped up and been that guy. But the father of broadcasting really is George R. Morrow. And I feel like having a sit-down discussion with him, especially now in the state, the political state that this country is in, I think it'd be interesting to see what he would do on the air to combat somebody like Donald Trump and the rise of just pure hate in the world right now.
Yeah. No. PewDiePie is not. No.
Like, I mean, he's not entirely wrong to say something like that. Like, the modern generations of broadcasting is a completely different way of life than what it was at the time. Like, the father of there wasn't broadcasting was such a different place at the time of George R. Morrow that it's but no, he's not necessarily wrong. Somebody like PewDiePie or Uncle Roger or Mr. Beast or Ninja or people like that, internet celebrities are probably your closest thing to what that would be, not because of what they do, but because of the level of faith that their people have in them.
Yeah. And if you're going to go with PewDiePie, then for the UK, it will be like the Beta Squad with Chunks, and then you've got the Sidemen with KSI and all of them lot. So those
Yeah.
are the ones we have. But the
By the way,
comment that
Vixar is Vixar is the best of the Sidemen. Just so we're clear.
mine's always been Mini Minter. It's always been. I watch
I
everything
love
that man
Minnie.
does.
I love Minnie, but Vixar is a lot more fun.
But KSI was the very first person, and I will admit this now, was the very first person I ever watched on YouTube, ever. My brother was watching him, and he introduced me to KSI, and then that's how I got to know all of that, and that's sort of. But we're going to go with Bobby, and he said, let's see if we can at least get a tear out of him with this. Ed is someone I've had the opportunity to work with on screen with quite a few times over the past couple of years. Often underestimated in what he brings to the table, Ed is very passionate and gifted on screen contributor. Ed never takes the credit he often deserves for what he delivers both on and off screen. I have seen the growth on screen, but also the work behind the scenes with the continued desire to improve that we see every day. Those qualities Ed possesses that everyone gets to see. Maybe not as often seen through is behind how often the sarcastic banter lies the heart of a very good man. I have seen Ed quality be there when people have needed it to vent or just needed to talk. Ed has made the time. Ed is always showing a lot of heart to those who care about deeply and the work he provides as well. Ed is an excellent contributor, but even a better friend. So that is what Mr.
Checks
Bobby
in the mail,
Money
Bobby. I promise. The checks in the mail.
from Bobby Money Munson. So this is a question from Andre. My question for Ed is, why do you love Thor: Love and Thunder so much? You're always talking about how good it is. Why do you think Gore is such an amazing villain? Will you be excited when Lady Thor returns in Secret Wars?
I think Jane Foster is one of the more interesting versions of Thor that's out there. I'm going to treat this as an actual question as opposed to something that's just meant to get me mad, because he well knows that I'm very, very down on this movie. Gore the God Butcher is such an incredible villain, both in comic books and on live, what could have been on the live screen. I think that the pieces of the movie that Christian Bale was allowed to be a part of as Gore the God Butcher were some of the best parts of that movie. And I think if they had continued to delve out that character, that movie would be light years better than what it currently is. I think that Natalie Portman as Jane Foster is a very interesting idea. And I'm very interested to see what happens with the different planes of afterlives that we're starting to see develop over the course of the entire MCU, with the Iliad in Moon Knight, with the ancestral plane in the Black Panther movies, and now we've seen Valhalla in its official form in Thor: Love and Thunder. That I think there's some interesting ways to go with that, and I think a Thor 5 could be a very interesting proposition.
So Astrid doesn't like Mr. Beast. He's the god of
Mr. Beast has a lot of controversy going on right now.
So technically, it isn't him. It's the. We're not getting into
it. It's all around that. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, we're not getting into that because
no, we're not getting into that. I get yelled at for stuff like that.
Yep. And also another question. He also said that he put at the end before I read out. He says, "Also, we know that you are the biggest AEW fan. Just admit it."
Such a mark. Such an AEW mark. Such an AEW mark. I watch it every Wednesday so much that I have no idea what half the things that are going on are.
I don't even think AEW fans know exactly what's going on. The quote that we've got here from Mr. Andre, and he has said, "Ed, you are one hell of a chap and a really outstanding bruv." I presume that's Will Ospreay. I appreciate you bringing me into the fold of the MCU stuff, and I enjoy our chats before and after streams. Thank you so much for being there for me when I've been down and helping to pick me up. That is from Mr. Andre.
This is a really poor timing thing, but I accidentally just sloshed my water on my face. Stay away
Such
from my
broadcast.
eyes so that I don't get accused of crying here on Andres.
Yeah,
But no,
then
thank
let's
you, my friend.
say splash of water. Okay,
I
no
did.
worries.
I splashed my water. You know, to avoid that, I even had a water with like a big cover on it so that I wouldn't do that because I knew that my dumbass would do it right during this portion. Hell, you can even still see the water on my glasses.
Yeah, okay. This is from Astrid.
Oh,
She has put, he has helped me grow more than he knows. He's made me realize I can use my voice, speak my mind, and express myself. I'm glad we've been able to grow together for the past few years. Very glad we've been tag team partners. And so that is from Astrid. And the question she has from you is if you weren't doing wrestling media, what would you be doing and what inspired you to be in the wrestling media?
I mean, Tom Colley gave me the itch to try to do something in this space, and I'll forever be grateful for the opportunities that he's allowed me to move forward in the things that I've done and to mentor me in all of the things that I do. And I had an opportunity to come up the other day, and I've reached out to him about things like that. And we've been having a discussion over the last couple of days about whether or not it's an opportunity I want to invest in. If I wasn't doing wrestling media or things like this, I probably would be watching a lot of it and just being a gamer and enjoying that gaming stuff. I might be making content on it, I might not, but no, I think that something like that, just enjoying myself. No, not even a little bit, honey. Sorry. Very, very heartfelt, and you know I feel the same way about you. You are the other half of me. You are the work wife, but nope. Better luck next time. Better call Saul.
So we've now got for our final question here today, and this is from Melville. I'm going to go with Melville first,
Sure.
with her question before we get into what does he think of the progress that NXT has made since the dementia era has officially ended, and what hopes does he have for the show, the WWE, and his favorite superstar going forward without said dementia?
I think that there's room to grow for everybody, but more importantly, it's about getting back to maintaining long-term storytelling, and whether it's slow paced or not. And a proper criticism to WWE right now is that they might be a little too slow on the pacing of their stories after coming out of the Dimension era. Um, but I like the fact of getting back to long-term storytelling. I like the idea of getting back to telling stories over a weekly basis and not having to constantly rewrite every portion of the script and maybe only rewrite a segment or two on the given night, depending on a situation that may or may not happen. As far as NXT is concerned, I just want to continue seeing the continued development of, especially the women's division, going forward. I mean, the men's division is progressing at the rate that it needs to, and it has plenty of stars, and it picks and pulls from other places, and it's much easier to have a thriving men's wrestling division in this day and age. But to have as strong and a thriving women's wrestling roster as NXT has right now, and the people they're bringing in, to continue developing the younger stars while making sure that the centerpieces that you're bringing in off of the free agent market aren't taking up too much time and aren't holding back the other talent, I think would be two things that I think that I would love to see in the women's division going forward in NXT.
Perfect. And this is what she has to say about you. Old man Ed has been an absolute riot to work with. Between his fun ideas and his knee-slapping humour, he's always putting in so much work and making it entertaining in the process. His drive, motivation to learn and grow are infectious, and watching his progression over the last few years have been a privilege. He always asks questions and puts into practice the answers he receives. Ever optimistic, I always enjoy listening to his blunt, honest thoughts and on everything he talks about. Ed is very valued friend and colleague in OLE, keeping an open door policy and always welcoming new members. OLE is like friends who become family, and Ed is the fun uncle consistently keeping everyone laughing. So that is from Melville there
Anything,
today.
anything. Would you
Absolutely.
put in the chat too?
Would
you have
something in the chat?
Yep.
Very
Top half us.
random question. Here we go.
Above it too, but yeah, that works.
We'll go with this one first. Do you want this one as well? And Ed is a good kid.
I appreciate it, Jimmy.
Etc. And then very random question for Ed. F. Mary. Okay. The Butcher. Abdullah the Butcher. And the something Butcher. Yeah.
Necro Butcher. Ooh, this is an interesting one. I'm gonna marry the Butcher from AEW. That man is a nice slab, but delicious man that I think, I think it'd be fun to do. Let's Necro Butcher marrying. I get F and kill. Give me the Abdullah the Butcher. He seems like a nice lover, nice big girthy man to get around. He knows how to bleed right. So let's go ahead and take Abdullah the Butcher, the old WCW days, and Necro Butcher. Sorry, buddy. There's only 3 options, so you get that one.
And then maybe it's the beer talking, Ed. But you go. Oh, love it.
Oh,
absolutely
Jimmy.
Love it. So, right, for the last segment here today, we do the same thing as we do every single time, and I play my music because I got it copyright free, and I absolutely love it. So, good old Who Wants to Be a Millionaire stuff here. So, we're going to do 1-word answers. So far, you've actually done really well compared to the others. So let's see if we can get this streak to continue. So I'm going to name some wrestlers, some current, some past, and I'm going to name some companies and people that work in OLE, and I want you to give 1-word answers to that. We've done this every single week with every single person. So if you haven't seen, go and check them back of what all the others have had to say. So, Astrid, 1 word.
Let's see.
Everyone so far has failed. So far. So, first one. Becky Lynch.
Yeah. That's a word. I don't know how to spell
with it.
Word.
All right. Seth Rollins.
Entertaining.
Obafemi.
Phenom.
Johnny Gargano.
Charismatic.
Tommaso Ciampa.
Delightful.
Carmelo Hayes.
Local.
Trick Williams.
Energetic. Also, whoop that trick.
Okay. Julia.
Dangerous.
Io Sky.
Moonsault.
Okay. Didn't think that. That's a good one so far. Oscar.
Kana.
Now we're going to go into. We're going to leave for the OLE people last.
Astrid's right though. I really did miss on Mello.
Yeah.
It should have just been him.
Yeah. New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Wrestling.
Marigold.
Intriguing.
Mm-hmm. TNA.
Undying.
Mm-hmm. AEW.
Alternative.
Mm-hmm. WWE.
Childhood.
NXT.
Greatness.
Astrid.
Favorite.
Lauren Goodnight.
Chaos.
Yes.
Also,
Yes.
also gay panic in the best way possible, but trying to use one word. There are other words to describe all of these things, but trying to stick with the one word thing.
Yeah.
I guess like
There you go. Melbourne.
fancy.
Andre.
Brother.
Bobby.
Overlord.
Me.
Knobhead.
Yes, I'll take that.
That is one word, correct?
Yeah, it
And
is one word.
in English, it's one word, right?
Yeah. It's spelled as one word. And then the two ones are they'll go a little bit personal. So, how would you describe yourself?
Fine.
You say kind.
No, fine. Fucked up. Insecure,
Gotta say.
neurotic, and emotional.
I was gonna say it's definitely not fucking kind, I tell you. Family.
Important.
Perfect. So,
But it's not family. So here's the thing. I love family, and some people have families that are blood related. And that's great. I don't have as much of a blood related family connection as a lot of people do. However, there's a family that you build of people that you keep around. And they don't all have to be associated with each other. You can have a variety of different families that work significantly well. So
I've got one more.
You choose to keep.
Yeah, I've got one more for you, and I forgot to. Tom Colicue.
Mentor.
Perfect. Right. So that is the end of all the questions. So what we're going to do now, as we do in every single show on OLE, I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Edward here, and he's going to explain all the things he's got coming up, if he can remember, and all the things that's going on in his life. So you can check him out. So Ed, over to you.
You can find me on Twitter at EdFries12584. You can find me on the Twitch at twitch.tv/EdFries2002. Sometimes I do gaming content there. It hasn't happened in a while, but it might happen in the near future. But I do stream all of our stuff. I do simulcast all of my content from here over there on a normal basis. You can go ahead and catch me every Tuesday night with the lovely, natural, the queen of OLE, Asher Bizarro. I'm going to be sending this to her in the near future, but for now I'll put it on myself. I am now the king because I actually did one word. I actually did one word, unlike anybody else.
Astrid, screenshot that, please. I beg you.
I'll give you a better picture of it later, but that's fine.
Perfect.
But no, you can catch me every Tuesday night after NXT, going ahead and chatting with Ashton as we talk all things NXT. Again, like I said, upcoming this weekend, I believe it's on Saturday, we're going to be having the recording of our pre-recorded pre-show with Miss Thickums for NXT No Mercy. We are also going to have our post-show for No Mercy on Sunday with the Wrestling Classic. Those will both be happening for our NXT stuff. I may or may not be part of the post-show for Bash in Berlin, depending how my weekend shakes out with this knobhead over here. And delightful and returning Kimmy Sokol. So she'll be back. She's expressed interest, so that'll be a fun little thing for us to do as we talk about, hopefully, Gunther's last time as world champion is hopefully Randy Orton. We'll dethrone him on Saturday afternoon.
Do you know what? I've just realised. I am
Also, Marvel Talk will return on September 18th or thereabouts as we go ahead and do. We're taking a bit of a hiatus as we're getting ready to do weekly episodes. And weekly episodes is a lot for us. We'll be doing weekly episodes for all of the episodes of Agatha All Along. So we'll be doing review episodes for all of those, typically on the day they air. Andre will be there for some, but not all of them. I'll be trying to sprinkle in some special guests who have the opportunity to go ahead and get to watch those as we talk all things Marvel and Agatha for the late month of September and all of October. So I'm very excited for that.
I'm not a scary movie type person, but I might watch that. If I start shitting myself, then I will not be watching it. That is my criteria for scary movies. But for myself, I will be here next Saturday doing the post show to the Guten Tag. Ich sprechen Deutschland. That's the only German I remember from school. And we will be doing Bash at
Remember
Berlin.
Scheisse?
Yeah, there was another one as well, but I can't remember how to say it. But there is another swear word I got taught, but I can't remember it. I will be here, and also on this channel as well, I will be here next Sunday with Kimmy, talking all things her life, how she got to where she is now, and where she sees herself in the future. But you can check me out. I'm on all the platforms at Mark Talks Football, Wrestling, Gaming. On the gaming channel, I'm currently replaying GTA 5 and Formula One Manager on 2K24. WWE 2K24 with Bobby Munson, who is the current general manager of MLW, will be transferring to TNA when the new season drops. But we've still got Elimination Chamber to come up. So the build up for that is next week. We've got Elimination Chamber. Then we have the week shows. Then it's WrestleMania. So make sure you check that out. And on Mark Talks Football, I am currently in Florida, managing Inter Miami with my overlord, David Beckham. Talking of overlords, he's here. And David Beckham. And we're trying, when you see this, we're trying to do the quadruple. 4 trophies in one season has never been done in Inter Miami or MLS, to my knowledge, history. So we're going to be trying to break history in American football, just for proper football. And then the new American football season starts very, very soon, and the Miami Dolphins are going to the Super Bowl. Calling it now.
You want to put money on that? Can we put money on that one?
Are we bet right? I presume you're a New England Patriots fan, right?
I am, but I'm not betting on them.
No, balls. I was going to say, I bet Miami get more wins. That's the safest bet I can go with. But no, I was going
to say, I bet almost every team in the NFL gets more wins than the Patriots this season.
No, I think Washington will get less, and
the only teams that'll get less is teams that are tanking.
Yeah.
An hour and a half. We should probably end this. People are bored.
Yeah, we should. So, with love, with care, we're going to sign off now with the outro. So, make sure you stick around. Make sure if you're watching this on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. If you're watching this on Twitch, make sure you hit the follow as well. But with love, with care, my name's been Mark. That's been Ed. And we will see you guys very, very soon. Make sure you stick around. Peace.